Hey guys, so next trade recap. So just coming off of the last video, literally my first trade in September was a banger, 2%. It was a weird kind of trade, but yeah, it was a 2% trade. Um, so we're starting off September really great, by the way. But the only thing I do freaking well on Wednesdays for some reason. My Thursdays are going up, so I mean that's good. My stats are getting a little bit better. I have a 51% win rate now, so hey, my winners are better than my losers right now, and I'm up $7,000. That's crazy. Um, Equity curve is gradually increasing. The only sad thing about this is just that I'm hopefully this goes up. I have only I'm done. I just finished the session. Holy shit. So I shouldn't have any more days on this, actually. That was the last trade. Well, in any case, before I finish this session, I guess the next time you watch a video, I'll be starting a new session. I'll probably make it longer, 2015 to 2025, or maybe I'll just make it a year long. I don't know if I'm necessarily ready for, like, such a long, like, run just yet, such as 2015 to 2025. Just because I don't know, I'm gonna figure out, like, for example, my approach right now has been great, but I don't know if this is the solidified approach, because this is not really pattern trading. This kind of trading style is highly, like, requires a high level of contextual understanding about, like, profiles, weekly, daily profiles, time and price, understanding GTX logic and where we are in time when we're coming into the day, understanding a 4 hour profile, and just like various things, and like looking at the reaction and price when we hit different levels, understanding the phase and price, and then the ways that price can move from one phase to another, and yada yada yada. And this is not an easy way to trade. I would not recommend anyone to trade this way unless you have like a substantial amount of experience. I wouldn't teach a beginner to trade this way. I would definitely teach a beginner to trade more pattern trading. But with that being said, let's just go top down. So I was looking on the week, and I was like, so coming off of the last week, you guys saw that it was kind of terrible. I was assuming we were going to go up. Usually when you have an expectation and that expectation is not met, it can usually chop you up, and I certainly got chopped up. But I think it was also due to my lack of understanding of phase in and price, which could have maybe allowed me to see that retracement potentially. So coming into the new week, I was like, all right, we're clearly going down. We're clearly looking for lower prices. So I can't really tell what price is drawing to on the daily, so I just zoomed out even further, and I was like, oh, okay, we're in a fair value gap, so maybe we're just digging a little bit deeper into that fair value gap. Not only that, I realized that ES is actually the leading asset, whereas Nasdaq is kind of lagging. For example, this high on Nasdaq is very far away from us compared to ES, so I was like, okay, so we're gonna come back. Maybe they're trying to align themselves to be more closely. I don't know. That's just a theory. I don't actually know. But I was like, okay, we're probably gonna be digging deeper into this fair value gap slash volume imbalance hybrid type situation. And yes, this is a valid fair value gap. It's just a mixture of volume imbalances, which I believe are gaps on the lower time frames, and this separation here. ICT says you have to include them. So this whole thing is I would call it a hybrid situation, but it's a fair value gap. It's a fair value gap, Obviously, it's a little bit more cleaner here on ES, where it is a full-fledged fair value gap. It's not one of those hybrids. But in any case, I came in with a bearish bias just off of the weekly. And I was like, so coming into the day, I was like, okay, the draw on liquidity could potentially be down here. And I actually marked out like two other separate draws on liquidities there. But yeah, so after looking at that, I went to the 4 hour, kind of marked out where we opened on the day, which is that 1800 candle, which would be right here. No, right here. Yeah, right here. And then I realized we came up, and then we kind of opened somewhere here, right? So I was like, okay, we made a relevant high of the day, and we also, if you look here, we also took out a relevant high here, or relatively equal highs, I should say. And what usually happens when we hit a key level, right? We could probably expect to go into another phase of price. So we saw expansion met with expansion, which is key reversal signals. So I was like, okay, we're probably going to the downside, and we have a lot of low resistance liquidity resting right below us. I was like, okay, cool. This is great. This is looking very, 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 very bearish. I was very strongly bearish coming into the day, even just looking at this 4-hour chart. And then obviously when you go down to the 1 hour, you can see, what happened in Asia, what happened in London, and subsequently New York. So in Asia, obviously this is where we opened on the day, so we kind of came up a little bit, and then Asia kind of chopped, then we came up in London and took this out, and then we came down. So if you understand GTX, or just market profiles and where we are in time, after seeing that we made a relevant high, London took out Asia and came down, I can possibly expect a continuation. So I need to see proof that we are going to continue further. This trade was a little bit weird because it didn't really meet like all my rules necessarily. Where like my rules are basically I need to see an SMT, I need to see a PSP, a 2-stage SMT, things of that sort. But I realized that we were kind of just, well, I'll get to that. So I first marked out this 1 hour fair value gap, but judging by where we came in on the day, which is right here, because this is the 9 o'clock candle, right? So I kind of just went down and saw if I could find another bearish fair value gap that would support price lower. So I marked out this one. However, the only thing with this trade was that we never saw this fair value gap again on either asset. We had a small one here, but we never saw that, right? There was no like SMT slash there was no nothing, if I'm being honest. Like not even at the high here. They both took all of these liquidity points. Maybe not, or maybe no, it took it for sure, yeah. So there was no SMT or anything to tell me that price was going to continue dumping. So I was like kind of nervous, but we were just dumping because like at this point, look, this is where I decided to enter on this white candle here. This was 10 o'clock, and we were just dumping. We showed no signs of like going higher, and we'd already taken out some of my targets. But at this point, I was like, okay, I don't know if I should take a trade or not. But I realized that I had another target way lower. So I was like, okay, we still have targets remaining. We're kind of just dumping. I'm going to just jump in, if we wick back up, I'm going to just kind of account for that. So I'm going to move my stop a little bit here above equilibrium of this fair value gap because we could wick back up and then maybe just dump. Luckily, that didn't happen. If I knew that it was just going to keep dumping, I could have had a tighter stop here and it could have been like a 1 to 5, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? Yeah, that was my thinking there, and it dumped, and I got my 1 to 2 situation here, and it just kept on going. It's great that I got the trade, but it didn't necessarily follow my rules where I needed to see, 2-stage SMT, an SMT and a PSP, and returning back to maybe like a zone to help support price lower. So in that regard, it's not a good trade, but I was still able to like analyze that, and I did take full risk on this. I think that's something I need to get better at. Like the trades that I'm taking, I need to like take full risk because that's how I'm going to hit that 6% target. And that's how I realized that the guy that I watched that is able to consistently hit 6% plus, he always risks 1% or more, which is why he's able to pull those numbers. So it's not necessarily that he's a better trader than me. His risk is just really consistent. So with that being said, I'm up 2%, and unfortunately this session is over. So yeah. So the next session you're going to see, it's going to be a completely new session starting fresh. But I'm honestly happy with the results. These are the highest I've ever seen my returns since starting trading religiously 5 months ago. 8R, that's the highest return I've ever made in any backtesting. I was able to make the 3R last month, but this was a tough month, I'm not gonna lie. This August 2024 was a tough month. Still ended up in the green though. I mean, I guess some would be happy with 3%, so hey. And then ended September with 2%, which is crazy. Are we really done for this session? Let's just double check. If it doesn't allow me to go the next day, then it's probably done. And with that being said, yes, it's done. We are done. One thing I don't like about FX Replay is that I wish they would allow us to just continue the session. If anyone knows if we can actually do that, please let me know in the comments. That would be very useful because I feel like it doesn't make it. I feel like that would be a very useful feature because we could start a session, maybe we find that we want to continue it. So it's kind of annoying that we can't just add on more time to a session. But with that being said, that is the trade recap, and don't forget to like and subscribe, leave any comments if you have any, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.